Hello and welcome to Trojans Live. Clay Helton joins us. Appreciate it, Coach, talking to us on a Monday night, getting ready for Arizona. But first, let's look back at Arizona State. And at one point, Coach, the computer said your win probability was at Arizona State's win probability was at 99.8%. So I guess your win probability was at 0.2%. With about 3 minutes left to go, how did you get everyone to keep believing when certainly the numbers were against you?
Well, thank God for that 0.2%, and thank God for a lot of good men, and both as staff and players that really stayed poised, didn't panic. I thought kept fighting through the entire game, made enough mistakes to lose the game. But good teams and winners find a way to win. I've seen that and early in this season. I mean, being able to see. I remember Notre Dame playing Louisville in a 10-6 game, not having their best day, but finding a way to win. Clemson playing Boston College, not having their best day, 2 scores down, find a way to win. Alabama in a shootout with Ole Miss, giving up 40-plus points, finds a way to win. I think good teams in this abbreviated season are going to put winning first, find a way to win, and then you got to improve each and every week. And that's I was really proud of our kids and proud of our staff because I didn't see any panic whatsoever in that stretch, and really executed in that last 4 minutes about as good as you could execute situational football.
Coach, when you look at the numbers, obviously they look pretty gaudy. You got over 500 yards of offense on 95 plays. You look at Keaton, how he performed, but it just didn't seem like it was all clicking at once. What really kept the offense, in your opinion, from exploding yesterday or the other day?
The red zone, Sean, to be honest with you. I mean, you have 95 plays, 556 yards, and you hold the ball 35 minutes. You're driving it up and down the field. What the issue for us was turning it over on the 1 yard line, having an interception within the 20-yard line. You turn it over 4 times in that game on scoring drives. That's what kept it close. That's what got us behind late, and then the kids rallied back. A couple of huge stops by our defense down the stretch, made by some big players. Isaiah Polamalu, who's here today. I thought the middle of the defense played exceptionally well with Marlon, who's the defensive lineman of the conference named today, EA and Isaiah and Talanoa. Those were your leading tacklers in the game. So the center of the defense did, I thought, an amazing job down the stretch.
What did you think of Keaton's performance overall? Obviously, the only thing that matters in history will be threading that throw. I mean, that really was an iconic play to complete the comeback. But it felt like at times, I don't know, we couldn't figure it out. I'm not down on the field anymore, so maybe it's just my angle, but it felt like some of the balls weren't coming out as tight as they usually do. Maybe it was rust, or I don't know. He seemed to be a little up and down at times. What did you think of his performance?
Yeah, isn't it nice when you throw for 72% and 381 yards and you go, God, he's just a little bit off. But we expect greatness from him all the time, and he did the things to win the game. Where I was probably the most proud of him was, you saw some linebackers playing deep. And he checked the ball down, 11 receptions by our running backs. And that's where I thought he improved. It was, they were really trying not to give up the deep ball. We called some shots down the field. And last year where he might have forced a couple throws, he really said, you know what, I'll play for the next down. And he was moving the chains with it. And so when you look up and you go 40 to 55, 72%, and throw for 381, if that's a career day for most guys in college football. But and he'll say it, and Graham say it, and I'll say it. That was it perfect by him? No, by far. But we can improve a lot from game 1 to game 2 as far as his performance and what he expects of himself. But I thought he did what the things that needed to be done to win the football game. And the last throw is about as good as I've ever seen a pitch and catch ever. Looking off a safety to create enough space, put it right over the Mike linebacker and high enough where only Drake can get it. It was a pro throw.
Coach, initially when I was watching the game, I was kind of giving the O-line maybe a harder time. After watching the game today on my iPad and checking it out and see what happened, I thought they played a lot better than I anticipated. What do you think about their performance, and how did they grade out as a group? And then what'd you see from from those guys?
Yeah, I thought a little bit where the improvement needed to be done was just on the twist games. You probably saw that on tape. You got a couple twist games that got us. But where I was really happy, and this is what I said going into the game, and for this season, is we had to be able to take some pressure off Keaton with the run game. We had to be up in that 160, 170 range, hopefully, with each game. And you look up and we get 175 yards rushing and some big runs late, and some explosive runs late down the stretch with that offensive line. Credit Justin Dedich, who came in down the stretch and really we never missed a beat with him. I celebrated him in our team meeting today. He practices like a starter each and every week, and you lose your starting center in Brett Nealon, and you don't miss a beat down the stretch. So I thought the run game was the biggest thing for us in that game because it kept the chains moving and it took some of the pressure off Keaton.
On the other side of the ball, a few months ago when we were looking at this team, you go, okay, hey, you're really loaded up front, defensive line, but then J. Tufele opts out, and then we find out right before the game you lose Brandon Peely. You're really down to Marlon Tuipulotu in terms of those guys that we know really well, played a ton of ball up front, and boy, he led the way. I mean, if you only had one horse, he was a heck of a horse to have up front. How has he grown? I mean, he's a guy, Coach, we've seen him play since the very first game of his freshman year. He was out there, so he's played a ton of football, but maybe never looked better than he did on Saturday.
Yeah, he's in tremendous shape right now, Jordan, and really quick twitch, as good as I've seen him move, and is healthy. When he came in with us, he was really nursing a degenerative back that actually a birth defect, and he really has really strengthened his core, come in great shape. He's proactive as far as his daily rehab with his core, and you could see it. I mean, his quick twitch off the ball made some huge plays down the stretch. Ends up making a great retrace on a screen that comes back and hits Darby and knocks him out of the game early in the game, and then on the quarterback draw late. I mean, we had not done a great job of getting the quarterback down on some of the scrambles, and he makes a huge third down play. He was all over the place. I mean, finished with 8 tackles on the day, 2 tackles for loss and a sack. Couldn't ask any more of the guy.
Yeah, I'll second that too, Jordan. On the rewatch, I didn't give him as much love as I should have in the broadcast. He was out there, big fella. Marlon had a big one. Also got screwed out of maybe having a couple more sacks on the day with a penalty call and some stuff like that. So shout out to Marlon Tuipulotu on that game. But Coach, when we're calling the game, not a lot of action for the linebackers. We talked a lot about the linebackers in the preseason, what was going to go on and with EA and who was going to fill in those positions. What do you think about their performance? They didn't get their name called too much. How they perform?
Yeah, I think T.O. will say he's a perfectionist. I mean, he's always going to say he wants to play better. But to have a redshirt freshman and Raylan go out there, play solid. EA had 7 tackles on the day. I think he was the third leading tackler on the team. Played solid. Both could play better. Both can play better. I thought the outside linebacker and Drake Jackson had a big game. Had a big hit on the last play on the fourth down play on their right tackle, which was a huge play. But I think at the end of the day, T.O. would tell you, yeah, they played good, but our standards are even higher, and he wants them to play elite. And so it was a good opening game for them, a good one to get under their belts, but we're going to expect even more from them.
Yeah, and then lastly, the secondary, I certainly thought it was a highlight. Maybe a couple penalties early on in the game, but you look up and, we talked about the marquee quarterback matchup. Yeah. Jane Daniels hurt you with his legs, but 134 yards passing to hold him down. It seemed like the secondary really lived up to the billing.
Yeah, and I talked about it in our team meeting about it's an awesome thing when you see a coordinator trust the players around him, and to make the same call 4 times in a row on that last series and play basically press man across the board and bring 6, that was a lot of trust and deservedly so. Those kids, between the 3 corners that played in that game and the 2 nickels, Max and Greg, they they did a wonderful job. 11 of 23, under 50%, with one of the better quarterbacks in the country, in my opinion. And it was that group, coached up by Dante and Craig Niver, did a wonderful job getting that group ready, and they performed well.
7 straight wins for USC over Arizona, so you've had a lot of success in this matchup. And now you hit the road to Tucson, and this will be unlike any road game you've ever dealt with. You won't have to deal with a lot of fans. I guess that's the good news. But just give us an idea of the logistical challenges that you face. It'll be hard enough dealing with all the protocols at home. Now you got to put everybody in plane and buses and hotels. How you guys dealing with it?
Yeah, definitely. One, we're grateful to have the opportunity, and another national televised game. 1:30 start there in Tucson, national television. So we appreciate the opportunity to be seen by the nation, and be that in that spotlight. As far as logistically, thank goodness for Joseph Wood, our chief of operations and head of our football operations. Does an amazing job. But you're talking about chartering an airline, having to be tested before you get on the plane. Once you get there that night prior to the game, getting the kids in their own bedroom, securing 3 floors with nobody else on it, the kids eating in their own room. The old pregame meal, Sean, is gone. You can't eat together. You eat in your own room. So basically, you fly in, you get them to your room, you give them their food, and they're in their room for the night. And you wake up, feed them their breakfast, come down for a quick walkthrough, and you're on the bus. And so it is going to be nice. It does sound like there will be. It sounds like there may be some fans there, it's a different county. It's not LA County, and there's different protocols there. So there might be some folks that are there, that are allowed there, but it's going to be a similar kind of feel of not a very full stadium. And I thought our kids handled it well. It was a very competitive atmosphere, and I thought they brought great energy last week. They'll need to do it again this week.
Coach, I would have tried to slip in like a special request for a food item, maybe a food item or two. I don't know if any guys are doing that. I'm sure that's a wild request. But Coach, I was thinking about it today. I had my coaching hat on. I know it's hard to believe, but I put my coaching hat on. I thought about today. What's a bigger advantage for you? It's going to be Arizona's first game. Is that a play more of a part of it, or would you rather have film on them as a coach to study? Because that's what I put myself in that coaching spot. What would you rather have in that case?
Well, it's give and take. This is the second week in a row. At least this week, at least we know what offensively kind of what they're going to do. Last week you were talking about 2 new coordinators. I kind of feel that it was going to be Boise State's offense, but defensively you had no idea. It was one of those you were going to have to kind of go in blind and say, okay, this is what we think. But don't know, with Coach Lewis and Coach Pierce working together for the first time, new defensive scheme that was totally different than last year. So I thought Graham did a really nice job in the offensive staff of, okay, this is what they're doing. How do we adjust? And you end up with 556 yards. Now it's the same thing. Paul Rhodes as a defensive coordinator, first-time coordinator at Arizona, no film. So you're going in kind of blind offensively. It's about executing your offense and then making the adjustments that you need within game to be able to go. Defensively, looking at their offense, we've got a better feel because of keeping the coordinator and keeping the offense intact.
Yeah, but when you look at the Arizona offense, the storyline was always Khalil Tate the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
And he's such a unique player. You did see some of Grant Gunnell in the past, but how do they change their offense now? With he seems like a much more traditional type quarterback than what Tate was.
Yeah, definitely. I think he does a really nice job with the RPOs. Obviously they lost a couple of good backs that were explosive, but I think they'll keep that RPO game intact, spreading the field and being able to make you cover every inch of the field. Again, what they do defensively, we'll see when we get there, but we'll focus more on us.
Coach, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my man, my new best friend. After the postgame, we talked to Parker Lewis after the game. Young man did a great job, had a great game. One kick you didn't seem too happy about, but the rest of the game, he looked like a star out there. Talk about the young man and the special teams and what kind of job they did last game.
Yeah, I was really impressed. I thought Coach Snyder did a very nice job of preparing our special teams. And you look at both Parker and Ben Griffiths. I mean, Ben was almost 46 yards net for the day, and Parker to go out there, he was in a great battle with Chase McGrath, who we know is a great kicker also, and was having a little bit of soreness knee and hip wise, and really produced. Parker produced in training camp and won the job. And so to go out there and kick the kickoffs he did was so nice to get him out of the end zone, and the coverage units be able to take a deep breath. And then extra point wise, he was great. And you could see the power of his leg, and what an amazing onside kick. I mean, just you can't hit it any better than he hit that perfect trajectory on line, exactly where we wanted it. And he, for a kid going walking into the Coliseum for his first time, it felt like he had been there before. It felt like he was a vet.
Health-wise, Coach, are we looking at an extended absence for Brandon Peely? And then the other side of the ball, how's Brett Nealon doing?
Yeah, those are the two big men. We came out pretty good, to be honest with you, from the ASU game. But Brett is a lower ankle sprain. It's not high ankle, thank goodness. He's day to day. He's listed day to day right now. We'll see how it goes through the week. I know he did not practice today. We'll see how it goes as we move forward. Really with Peely, it's going to be probably a weekly decision. He had it on Friday. It's a surgery that was very similar, if you remember Juju's surgery,
Yeah.
where he was able to come back after about a week, but he doesn't have to hit his hands every snap like a defensive lineman does. So a little bit different. It'll be week to week. I don't think Brandon will miss the entire season, but we'll see how it is this game. I think it's 50-50 at best, to be honest with you, for this game. Probably the next one will be a little bit higher percentage.
Coach, you mentioned their new defensive coordinator, Paul Rhodes. You got me digging back into my banks of film here. 2017 defensive coordinator. I'm looking at some 3-4 schemes, trying to figure out what we got going. What do you think that's coming from Coach Paul Rhodes?
Yeah, Paul is a really good fundamental technique coach. When he was at Arkansas, was not extravagant, but just played true 3-4 odd front. His kids played fast, not a lot of missed assignments when you watch that tape. We'll see if he's changed at all over 3 years and what else he has in there. But in watching that tape the last time he was a coordinator, you could tell his kids it's a very simple defense that allows the kids to play fast with not a lot of missed assignments. I think Kevin brought him in for a reason because he knows what he's doing. He's a very experienced coach, and they've got good players on that side of the ball. We saw that last year, and I think by simplifying things for those kids, it'll be neat to see how they come out and how they perform in the new defense.
I know from a game plan standpoint, you're never looking, you're going 1 week at a time. I'm just wondering from an overall, what we're dealing with, you look at the game 2 weeks from now and Utah already had to cancel once and you're hearing lots of stuff, they got,
I'm not even, don't even want to go there, Jordan.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if is anyone having those conversations? Like, I mean, you just stay out of that. I mean, you just say, tell me who I'm playing and then I'll deal with it when I'm playing them, I guess is my question.
Obviously, such a different season, Jordan, and I mean to have 2 games already canceled in league last week was just a body blow. I think for the entire league, and it set the example even for your kids. I mean, we're trying to go 7 weeks of perfection, both on the field and off, and you got to have some luck involved too, because I mean this thing does spread. And spreads like wildfire. And I'm so proud of our kids for what they've done from March all the way till now, and the sacrifices they've made, and the discipline and the toughness, and how together they are to try to accomplish this. And so it was one of those deals where, as soon as the game was over, that's what we were talking about, is protect the team tonight. It would be great to go celebrate this win, but we got to go right back home, and you got to take care of yourself. You got to take care of this team. You have to isolate yourself and get ready, put yourself in that bubble and get ready for the next game. And let's move on to Arizona, and let's go 1-0 for the week, and let's concentrate on that week, our safety, our health, and preparing for that football game. And then we'll see where the next weeks leads us. And if the Utah game, I'll have both fingers crossed. We need everyone we can get and want everyone that we can get.
Yeah. Well, we're all going week to week in 2020, Coach. So we appreciate you taking it through us this week, and then next week we will see what's ahead then. But good luck this week down in Tucson.